The night was calm, and the colony fields stretched far under the pale light of two moons. Ryan walked alone, carrying his tools after finishing a long day of work. He preferred the quiet after sunset. The colony was always noisy during the day, with machines running and people shouting orders, but out here the silence gave him peace. He often stayed late to finish repairs, but tonight something unusual caught his attention. A flash of light streaked across the sky. At first, he thought it was just another piece of space debris burning up in the atmosphere. Fragments fell often, reminders of old battles far beyond their world. But this one did not burn away. It grew brighter, falling lower, until the ground shook with a loud crash in the distance. A thin trail of smoke rose beyond the hills. Ryan hesitated. He could turn back and let the patrols handle it, but something inside pushed him forward. He tightened his grip on his tool bag and walked quickly toward the smoke. As he reached the crash site, he saw the shape of a small escape pod. It was badly damaged, half buried in the dirt, its metal surface glowing hot from the fall. Sparks flickered from broken panels, and steam hissed from cracked vents. The pod was alien in design, nothing like human ships. Cautiously, Ryan stepped closer. He could hear faint sounds from inside, not mechanical but soft and weak, like a child crying. His heart quickened. He pulled at the hatch, burning his hands on the hot metal, but he did not stop. With effort, he forced the door open. Inside, curled in a seat, was a small figure. The child was unlike any human he had seen. Her skin had a pale shimmer, almost glowing under the moonlight. Her eyes were large and bright, like pools of silver, though filled with fear. She wore a torn garment, thin and strange, marked with symbols he could not understand. The child looked at him, trembling. She tried to speak, but only a broken sound came out. Ryan understood nothing, but he recognized the fear in her eyes. She was alone, hurt, and desperate. He reached into the pod slowly, showing his empty hand. "It's all right," he said softly, though he knew she could not understand his words. His voice was calm, gentle, the same tone he once used when comforting his younger brother years ago. The child hesitated, then weakly lifted her hand. Ryan took it carefully, surprised at how warm her skin felt. He lifted her out of the pod. She was light, almost weightless, as if her body carried less gravity than his own. She rested her head against his shoulder, too exhausted to resist. Ryan looked around. The crash had left a deep scar in the ground, and soon others would notice. If the colony guards found her, they might see her as a threat. Fear ruled their decisions, and fear of the unknown was always the greatest danger. He could not let them take her. He wrapped her in his work cloak and carried her back toward the colony. Each step was careful, steady, as if he was carrying more than a child but also a choice that would change his life. When he reached his small home at the edge of the settlement, he laid her on his bed. She was breathing shallowly, her body trembling. Ryan fetched water, held it to her lips, and she drank slowly. Her silver eyes looked at him again, softer this time, not with fear but with a faint glimmer of trust. Ryan sat beside her, unsure of what to do next. He had no knowledge of alien medicine. All he could offer was food, water, and safety. He covered her with a blanket and stayed close, watching as she finally closed her eyes and drifted into sleep. The room was silent except for her faint breathing. Ryan leaned back, staring at the ceiling. He wondered who she was, where she came from, and why she had been sent alone in such a fragile pod. Questions filled his mind, but none had answers. One thing was certain: her arrival was no accident. Somewhere out in the vast galaxy, forces greater than him were at play. But tonight, she was just a lost child, and he was the only one who could protect her. As the moons crossed above and the night deepened, Ryan kept watch. He did not know what tomorrow would bring, but he had made his choice. He would not abandon her. Far beyond the stars, unseen by him, a mother searched for the child who had fallen to a distant world. Morning sunlight entered through the cracks of Ryan's small home. The warmth touched the walls and lit the corner where the alien child still slept. Her breathing was steady now, her small chest rising and falling with rhythm. For a moment, Ryan stood quietly, watching her. She looked peaceful, so different from the frightened figure he had pulled from the wreckage the night before. When she finally opened her silver eyes, she did not flinch this time. She only stared at him with silent curiosity. Ryan placed a bowl of warm broth on the table. He sat near her bed and lifted the spoon, showing her what to do. The child tilted her head, uncertain, but when he raised the spoon toward her, she slowly accepted the food. "You'll be fine," Ryan said softly. He knew she did not understand his words, but the tone mattered more. She finished the bowl quickly, as though she had not eaten in days. Ryan felt relief. At least she had the strength to eat. Over the following days, their bond grew in small ways. The child followed him with her eyes, then with her steps. At first she stumbled, unused to the gravity of his world, but she learned quickly. She studied everything he did, fixing tools, gathering supplies, even washing his hands before meals. Sometimes she would imitate him, and though her gestures were clumsy, Ryan found himself smiling more than he had in years. He decided to give her a name. "Lyra," he said one evening as they sat by the lamp. She blinked, confused, then pointed at herself. Ryan nodded. "Yes, Lyra." The sound was simple, easy for both of them. She repeated it, her voice quiet but clear. From that moment, the name belonged to her. The colony people soon noticed that Ryan had taken someone into his home. Whispers followed him whenever he walked through the streets. Some said he was foolish, others warned that aliens could bring danger. But no one dared confront him directly. Ryan was quiet but known for his steady work, and few wanted to challenge him. Still, their stares carried weight. At the marketplace, an older man muttered, "Stray creatures are not our burden." Ryan ignored the words, but Lyra clutched his sleeve tightly, sensing the hostility even if she did not know the language. Ryan placed his hand over hers. "Do not fear," he said, his voice calm. She looked up at him, and for the first time, she smiled. That smile changed something in him. Ryan had spent most of his life working alone, never thinking much beyond survival. But Lyra's presence brought light into his days. She filled the silence of his home with small sounds, laughter when she learned a new word, or soft humming when she played with scraps of metal. In the weeks that followed, she began to speak. At first only broken words, but soon short sentences. She mixed human words with strange sounds from her own tongue, yet Ryan understood enough. "Thank you," she said one night after he gave her a warm blanket. The words were simple, but they struck his heart with unexpected force. One afternoon, while Ryan repaired a broken water pump near the edge of the colony, Lyra sat nearby, watching. Suddenly, the pump sputtered back to life before his hands even touched the final piece. Ryan looked up in surprise. Lyra's small hands rested on the machine, her silver eyes glowing faintly. He realized then that her abilities were not ordinary. She could affect the world in ways no human could. Yet instead of fear, he felt pride. She looked at him nervously, afraid of what he might say. Ryan only placed his hand on her shoulder. "It's all right," he whispered. She relaxed and smiled again. But Ryan knew the truth: if others saw what she could do, they would not react with kindness. He decided to keep her gifts hidden, teaching her patience and caution. She listened closely, trusting his guidance. Seasons shifted slowly. Lyra grew taller, her steps stronger, her words clearer. She still carried the mystery of her origin, but she laughed like any child, played like any child, and cared like any child. To Ryan, she was no longer an outsider. She was family. At night, they often sat outside beneath the twin moons. Lyra would ask questions, pointing at the stars, wanting to know their names. Ryan would tell her stories, some true, others invented, about far-off worlds and brave explorers. She listened with wide eyes, as if she belonged among those stars but chose to stay by his side. Yet, even in those peaceful nights, Ryan felt the shadow of what might come. Somewhere, someone must be searching for her. Ships did not fall from the sky without reason. He wondered if he had the strength to protect her when that day arrived. Still, he never spoke of his fear. For now, he let the days pass in quiet joy. Each morning she greeted him with a cheerful voice, each evening she sat close by the fire. Slowly, the walls of his solitary life crumbled, replaced with something stronger: bond, trust, and the strange but powerful love between a human and a child from the stars. And though he did not yet know it, the bond he built with Lyra would one day decide the fate of more than just his small home. It would reach far beyond his colony, into the heart of a people who had lost their child and were still searching. The seasons rolled on, and Lyra grew quickly. What once seemed like a fragile child had now become a bright and lively girl who filled Ryan's quiet home with warmth. She helped with small tasks, learned human words faster each day, and carried herself with a curiosity that never seemed to end. But along with her growth came changes that could not be explained by human ways. It began in small moments. One evening, Ryan cut his hand while working with sharp metal. He thought nothing of it and covered the wound. Yet Lyra noticed and placed her hand gently over his palm. A faint light shimmered between her fingers, and within seconds the pain vanished. When Ryan pulled the cloth away, the cut was gone, as if it had never been there. He stared in silence, unsure what to say. Lyra looked at him nervously, afraid she had done something wrong. But Ryan only smiled softly and whispered, "Thank you." Relief washed across her face, and she hugged him tightly. That night he could not sleep, his mind circling the truth: Lyra carried a gift beyond human reach. The signs grew clearer with time. When storms gathered above the colony, winds shaking the wooden houses, Lyra would stand at the window, raising her small hands. The clouds parted, and the rain softened to gentle drops. Once, when a machine broke at the water fields, she touched the metal and it roared back to life, its gears spinning as if newly built. Ryan always cautioned her. "Not in front of others," he warned gently. "They won't understand." Lyra nodded, though it was hard for her to hide what felt natural. She wanted to help, but she trusted Ryan's guidance more than her own desire. The colony, however, still whispered about her. People noticed how quickly she learned, how her silver eyes seemed to glow at night, how she rarely fell ill or tired. Children were curious, but adults carried suspicion. Ryan shielded her from their words, never letting her walk alone, never letting her face their stares without him by her side. One afternoon, as Ryan and Lyra returned from gathering supplies, they found a group of children by the river. The youngest boy had slipped on the rocks, and the current carried him fast toward the deep water. Shouts filled the air as adults rushed, but none were close enough to save him. Without thinking, Lyra sprinted forward. Her feet barely touched the ground as she leapt into the water. Silver light rippled around her, and the current slowed as if obeying her will. She pulled the boy to shore, unharmed and breathing. The crowd gasped, some cheering in relief, others staring in fear. Ryan pushed through the people and pulled Lyra close, wrapping her in his arms. He could feel the eyes of the colony burning into them both. That night, he knew the secret was growing harder to hide. Later, as they sat in their small home, Lyra lowered her head. "I did wrong," she whispered. Ryan shook his head. "No. You saved a life. That is never wrong. But you must learn control. Power can protect, but it can also bring fear." She listened carefully, her eyes serious. "I will learn," she promised. Ryan began teaching her discipline. Each evening, they sat outside under the moons. He guided her breathing, teaching her patience, asking her to focus her gift only when needed. She learned quickly, her control sharpening with each lesson. But even as he taught her, Ryan wondered where such power came from. She was not simply different in appearance, she was something far greater. One night, while they practiced, Lyra touched the ground and a small flower bloomed instantly, though the soil was dry. She looked up at Ryan with hope. "Life," she said simply. Ryan nodded, though his heart grew heavy. Such a gift was both blessing and danger. The bond between them grew stronger. Lyra trusted him completely, and Ryan found himself feeling pride he had never known. He was no longer just a worker of machines, he was a guardian, shaping the path of a child who could change the world. Still, questions haunted him. Who had sent her in that pod? Why had she been alone? And what would happen when her people discovered she was here? His fears deepened one morning when a patrol ship passed over the colony. The craft was human, yet Ryan noticed how Lyra tensed, her eyes following it with unease. It reminded him that she was not truly part of this world, even though she had become the center of his life. As days turned into months, the signs of her power became undeniable. Plants grew where she walked, machines responded to her touch, storms bent to her will. The colony could not ignore her forever. Some began to speak of miracles, others of curses. Ryan knew a time would come when he could no longer shield her. But for now, he held to one truth: Lyra was his daughter in all but blood, and he would protect her no matter what price the future demanded. Under the silent stars, as Lyra rested her head on his shoulder, Ryan made a silent vow. Whatever awaited them beyond the horizon, he would face it. For her, for the bond they shared, for the hope that humanity could prove itself worthy of the child from the stars. The colony lived in uneasy peace. Though months had passed since Lyra saved the boy from the river, whispers still floated through the streets. Some spoke of her as a blessing, others warned of danger. Ryan ignored the voices, focusing only on keeping her safe. Lyra continued to grow stronger, her control sharpening each day. Yet both of them felt something was coming, something larger than the quiet life they had built. That day came without warning. It began with a sound unlike any storm or machine. A deep hum filled the air, vibrating through the ground. People rushed into the open fields, pointing toward the sky. Shadows spread as a great ship descended from the clouds. It was vast, its surface glowing with patterns of silver and blue, unlike any human design. The ship moved with perfect grace, lowering above the hills near the colony. Fear spread quickly. Families pulled their children inside. Guards raised their weapons though none dared fire. The colony had seen many ships before, but never one of such size and beauty. It did not belong to humans, it was something far greater. Ryan felt Lyra's hand tighten around his arm. Her silver eyes were wide, not with surprise but with recognition. "Mother," she whispered. The word was soft, trembling, yet certain. The ship opened, light pouring down like a column from the heavens. A figure descended slowly, surrounded by radiant energy. She was taller than any human, her presence commanding yet calm. Her skin shimmered like polished crystal, her eyes glowing with endless depth. She wore flowing garments marked with symbols similar to those on Lyra's escape pod. The crowd fell silent. None dared move. Ryan stood still, shielding Lyra behind him. The figure landed gracefully, her gaze sweeping across the people. Then her eyes found Lyra, and her expression shifted. She stepped forward, voice clear and strong, carrying across the fields. "My daughter." Lyra stepped out from behind Ryan, her face filled with emotion. She wanted to run into her mother's arms, yet hesitation held her back. For years she had known only Ryan's care, Ryan's voice, Ryan's protection. Now the one who had given her life stood before her, a stranger yet not a stranger. The alien mother stretched out her arms. "You are safe now. Come home." But Lyra did not move. She looked at Ryan, her voice breaking. "Father." Gasps rose from the crowd. People turned to stare at Ryan, shocked at her words. Ryan stood frozen, unsure what to say. He was no father by blood, yet the bond between them was real. His heart tightened as he realized the truth. Lyra was being asked to choose between the world of her birth and the man who had raised her. The alien mother's gaze shifted to Ryan. Her eyes studied him, sharp and searching. "You are the one who kept her alive," she said. It was not a question but a statement. Ryan met her gaze calmly, though his chest felt heavy. She was alone. She needed someone. "I did what anyone should have done." A faint smile touched the alien mother's lips, though her power made it difficult to read her true thoughts. She stepped closer, and the crowd backed away in fear. Only Ryan stood firm. Lyra clung to his sleeve. "I don't want to leave you," she whispered. Ryan placed a steady hand on her shoulder. "You must know where you belong," he said gently. His words carried strength, but inside he felt torn. Every part of him wanted to hold on to her, yet he could not stand in the way of what was right. The alien mother knelt, her radiant form softening as she looked at her daughter. "You have grown," she said, her voice warm now. "But I see the human way in you. You speak their words. You carry their spirit. He has shaped you." Lyra's silver eyes filled with tears. "He is my father," she said firmly. The alien mother turned her gaze back to Ryan. For a long moment, silence stretched between them. The colony watched in awe and fear, unsure what would happen next. At last, the alien mother spoke again. "You raised my daughter with care. Few would have done the same. Humanity often fears what it does not know. Yet you gave her love instead of fear." Ryan did not answer. He only stood taller, refusing to show weakness. The alien mother rose to her full height, her presence once again commanding. "Then you will not lose her," she declared. "You are bound to her now. And through her, you are bound to me." Light spread from her hand, forming a glowing mark across Ryan's chest. It did not burn, but he felt its weight deep inside, as if a part of his spirit had been linked to something far greater. The crowd gasped again, some falling to their knees. Lyra held his hand tightly, relief shining in her eyes. "Together," she whispered. The alien mother smiled, her voice carrying both promise and warning. "Together. From this day, your fate is tied with ours. You are no longer only a man of this colony. You are part of something beyond." The great ship hummed above them, its lights bright against the sky. The colony trembled at the meaning of her words. For Ryan, the world he knew had already changed forever. He did not know what trials lay ahead, but as he looked at Lyra's smile, he knew one truth: he would face them all, bound by love, bound by destiny, bound by a promise written in the stars. The colony was restless after the arrival of the great ship. People whispered in every corner, some terrified, others curious, all unsure what the alien mother's presence meant. The sight of her power, her voice that seemed to command the air itself, left no doubt this was a being far beyond human reach. For Ryan, the weight of her words still pressed against his chest. The glowing mark she had placed upon him did not fade. At night it pulsed faintly with light, like a heartbeat not his own. It bound him, though he did not yet understand what that truly meant. The next morning, the alien mother summoned Ryan and Lyra to the open field before the colony. The people gathered at a distance, too afraid to stand close, yet unwilling to look away. Guards stood ready, though their weapons seemed useless in the face of such power. The alien mother stood tall, her silver eyes fixed on Ryan. "You raised my daughter," she said, her voice carrying far across the fields. "Now I must know what kind of man you are. Did you shape her with honor, or did you keep her for yourself? Did you protect her, or did you bind her with fear?" The crowd murmured. The question cut deep. To them, it sounded like an accusation. Ryan stepped forward, his voice steady though his heart pounded. "I gave her food when she was hungry. I gave her safety when she was afraid. I taught her to walk, to speak, to laugh. I never asked for reward. I did only what I knew was right." Lyra clung to his hand, her silver eyes shining. "He is my father," she said clearly. "He gave me love. He gave me a home. Without him, I would not be here." The alien mother studied them both. Her gaze was sharp, searching deeper than words. For a long moment, silence filled the air. Then she raised her hand, and a circle of light appeared on the ground around Ryan and Lyra. "This is the trial of truth," she declared. "No lie can stand within this circle. Speak, human, and let the stars judge your heart." The crowd gasped as the circle glowed brighter. Some stepped back in fear. Ryan felt the heat of the light against his skin, but he did not waver. "Why did you keep her?" the alien mother asked. "Because she was a child alone," Ryan answered. "And a child should never be left to suffer. Did you ever think of giving her to your people? They would have feared her. They would have harmed her. I could not allow that. Did you ever use her gifts for your own gain? Never. Her gifts are her own. I only taught her to be careful." Each answer rang clear, the circle glowing brighter with every word. The alien mother's eyes softened, but the trial was not yet over. "Would you give her up now, if I demanded it?" Ryan's chest tightened. He looked at Lyra, then back at the alien mother. His voice was low but firm. "If it is what she wishes, yes. But if she wishes to stay, I will never let her be taken." The circle flared, filling the field with brilliant light. The crowd shielded their eyes, and even the guards lowered their weapons. When the glow faded, the alien mother stood silent, her face unreadable. At last, she spoke. Your words are true. Your heart holds no shadow. You raised her not as property, but as family. She turned to the crowd, her voice rising. Hear me, people of this colony. This man is judged worthy. His spirit holds honor, his care holds strength. You will see him not as traitor, but as guardian. The people murmured in awe. Fear still lingered, but respect began to grow. To be judged by such a being was no small thing. The alien mother turned back to Ryan. You may stand beside her, not as a stranger, but as one bound by truth. You are her father in spirit, and I will not take that from you. Relief washed over Ryan, though he kept his composure. Lyra threw her arms around him, smiling through tears. I knew it, she whispered. But the alien mother's tone grew heavier. Know this, human. To be bound to her is not only honor, but burden. Her gifts are not yet understood, and danger will follow her. As her guardian, you will face trials greater than any you have known. The fate of more than this colony rests upon her shoulders and now upon yours. Ryan nodded slowly. Then I will face them. Whatever comes. The alien mother gave a final nod, her silver eyes shining with something between pride and sorrow. She turned to her daughter. You carry both worlds within you now, the world of your birth and the world of your raising. One day, you will decide which path to walk. Until then, he will walk it with you. The trial was over, but its meaning echoed across the colony. Ryan was no longer only a worker, no longer only a man who had once lived in silence. He was now a guardian tied to a destiny far larger than his own life. And though the judgment had ended, Ryan sensed the beginning of something greater. The light on his chest still glowed faintly, reminding him that this was not the end, it was only the start of a path that stretched into the stars. The field was quiet after the trial of truth, yet the air carried a weight that none could ignore. The people returned to their homes, whispering of what they had seen. Some still feared, but many now looked at Ryan with a mix of respect and awe. To them, he was no longer just a quiet worker of machines, he was the man who had stood before a being of power and been judged worthy. But for Ryan, the moment had not ended. The glowing mark on his chest pulsed faintly, like a second heartbeat. It reminded him of the alien mother's words that his fate was now tied to Lyra's, and to hers as well. That night, the alien mother called him and Lyra into her presence again. They stood at the base of her great ship, its silver surface gleaming under the moons. The entrance opened, spilling soft light across the ground. With calm steps, she led them inside. The interior was vast, glowing with energy lines that flowed across the walls like rivers of light. Strange symbols pulsed, shifting as if alive. Ryan had never seen such beauty and mystery combined. Lyra walked beside him, her silver eyes wide with wonder, as if she remembered pieces of a forgotten home. They entered a chamber where a tall crystal rose from the floor, shining with gentle light. The alien mother stood before it, her voice calm but heavy with meaning. The trial has judged you true. But words alone are not enough. To protect my daughter, to stand with her in the years to come, you must be bound. Not by chain, not by force, but by spirit. Ryan's brow tightened. What does it mean, bound? The alien mother looked at him steadily. It means your life and hers will be tied together. You will share strength, and you will share burden. What touches her will touch you, and what harms you will echo in her. This is the binding. It is ancient among my people, a vow deeper than blood. Ryan's heart pounded. The thought of such a connection was heavy, but when he looked at Lyra, her hand reaching for his, the choice was already made. If it keeps her safe, then I accept. Lyra squeezed his hand tightly. Together, she whispered. The alien mother extended her arms. Then stepped forward. Ryan and Lyra stood before the crystal. Light flared, surrounding them both. The air shimmered, warm and heavy, wrapping around them like unseen threads. Ryan felt a surge of energy rushing into him, filling his chest, flowing into his very bones. At the same time, he felt Lyra's presence within him, her heartbeat, her breath, her hope. It was as if their spirits had been joined. The crystal pulsed once, then again, and the mark on Ryan's chest blazed with light. Lyra's eyes glowed brighter than ever before, and a pattern appeared faintly across her arms, a mirror of the mark on Ryan. The alien mother's voice filled the chamber. It is done. You are bound. From this moment, you are not separate paths but one. Her strength is yours, and your courage is hers. Neither shall walk alone. The light faded slowly, leaving the chamber quiet again. Ryan gasped for breath, his chest burning but strong. Lyra clung to him, smiling through tears. I feel you, she whispered softly. Like you are inside me. Ryan placed his hand on her shoulder. And I feel you. Always. The alien mother stepped closer, her gaze softer now than ever before. You have chosen a path from which there is no return. This bond will not break with time, nor with distance. Even death will not fully sever it. Do you still accept? Ryan met her eyes firmly. Yes. Whatever comes, I accept. A rare smile touched her lips. Then know this, you are no longer only of your people. You are of mine as well. Through her, you carry our blood. Through you, she carries your spirit. This is more than family. This is destiny. As they left the chamber, Ryan felt different. The bond was not just a mark, it was a weight, but also a strength. He could sense Lyra's emotions even when she was silent, could feel her small joys and fears as if they were his own. She laughed as they walked, and the sound filled him with warmth more powerful than any fire. But he also sensed the truth behind the alien mother's words. This bond was not only a gift, it was a responsibility. If danger came for Lyra, it would also strike him. If his strength faltered, hers might too. Their lives were no longer separate threads, they were woven into one. That night, as they returned to the colony, the people watched from a distance. They saw the faint glow still lingering on Ryan's chest and the light in Lyra's eyes. Some bowed in respect, others hid in fear. But none doubted that something beyond human had happened. Inside his home, Ryan sat with Lyra by the fire. She leaned against him, whispering, I am not afraid anymore. Because I have you. Ryan looked down at her, his heart steady. And I have you. No matter what comes. Beyond the colony, the great ship rested silently, a reminder that this was only the beginning. The binding had been sealed, and with it, the path of man and child, human and alien, was forever changed. The days after the binding were unlike any Ryan had known. Life in the colony did not return to normal. People now looked at him with a mix of respect, fear, and curiosity. Some bowed their heads as he passed, while others whispered about the glowing mark on his chest. To them, he was no longer only Ryan the worker, he was the man tied to something far beyond human reach. Lyra, however, remained the same bright child he had raised. She laughed, asked endless questions, and ran through the fields with joy. Yet even she carried herself differently now, more certain of who she was. The bond gave her strength, but it also tied her heart even closer to Ryan's. Wherever she went, he felt her presence inside him, a gentle warmth that never left. The alien mother stayed close to the colony, her great ship resting beyond the hills. She did not threaten, but her presence was a reminder that the world had changed. At times she called for Lyra, teaching her the language and customs of her people. At other times, she spoke with Ryan, curious about the ways of humans. One evening, under the twin moons, the alien mother stood with them in the open field. "You have shown me something rare," she said, her voice calm. "Among my people, strength is measured by power. Yet you, human, showed strength in kindness, in patience, in love. You raised my daughter not because you sought reward, but because you could not turn away from a child in need. That is a gift I had not understood." Ryan looked at her steadily. "It is not a gift. It is what should be done." She tilted her head, her silver eyes glowing faintly. "And yet, not all would have done it. Many would have feared her. Many would have abandoned her. You did not. That choice speaks of your people, of humanity." Her words settled deep into the night air. Ryan said nothing more, but inside he felt the truth. Humanity was fragile, small compared to the vast powers beyond the stars, but perhaps that fragility gave them strength in ways others could not see. The following days brought signs of greater change. Strange signals filled the skies, and distant ships were seen moving across the horizon. The alien mother grew watchful, her gaze often fixed beyond the stars. She spoke little of it, but Ryan understood Lyra was not only a child to be protected, but a key to something larger, something that stretched across worlds. One night, as they sat by the fire in Ryan's home, Lyra spoke softly. "Will I have to leave one day?" The question cut through him like a blade. He wanted to say no, to promise that she would always stay by his side, but the bond between them did not allow lies. He took her hand gently. "One day, you may have to choose where you belong. But wherever you go, I will always be with you." The binding made sure of that. She rested her head on his arm. "Then I am not afraid." The next morning, the alien mother gathered the colony once more. She stood tall, her voice strong, carrying across the fields. "You have seen what my daughter is. You have seen the bond she shares with this man. In time, her gifts will grow, and dangers will come for her. But know this: she will not face them alone. Humanity has proven itself not by power of weapons, but by the courage of one man who chose love over fear. That is the gift of your kind, and it will not be forgotten." The people bowed their heads. Some still feared, but many now felt pride. To have their colony recognized by such a being was more than they had ever dreamed. Ryan stood quietly, Lyra at his side, her small hand gripping his firmly. The alien mother looked at them both with rare softness. "Together, you have shown me that even the smallest life can shape the path of worlds. Humanity has a place among the stars not for its strength, but for its heart." As her words faded, the great ship rose slowly into the sky. The colony watched in awe as it lifted beyond the clouds, leaving a trail of silver light. The alien mother was not gone forever. Her presence would return when needed, but for now she left her daughter in the care of the one she trusted most. Ryan looked at Lyra, her silver eyes reflecting the fading glow above. He felt the bond between them steady and strong. The path ahead was uncertain, filled with challenges he could not yet see. But he no longer doubted. Together, they carried something greater than power, they carried hope. That night, as they sat once more under the twin moons, Lyra whispered, "You gave me a home. You gave me love. That is what I will carry forever." Ryan smiled faintly, his voice quiet but firm. "And you gave me purpose. That is what I will carry." Above them, the stars shone brighter than ever before, as if the galaxy itself had taken notice. Humanity's gift had been revealed, not strength of arms, not brilliance of machines, but the simple, unshakable power of love, compassion, and family. And in that truth, the story of a man and a child from the stars became more than their own. It became the story of what humanity could be, when it chose to rise beyond fear.